Mr. Sharael Taha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I applaud the effort to keep legislation concerning guns, explosive, and weapons, referred to as GEW by MOS Tan, updated, especially given the fact that advancements in technology and open borders have made it significantly easier to procure and manufacture GEWs. We in Singapore are fortunate that our law enforcement agencies and supportive citizenry has kept our nation safe and free from the proliferation of GEWs. However, we must not rest upon our laurels in the face of recent developments. In the past, Pasir Ris East Community Centre held, in the past month, Pasir Ris East Community Centre held a session on introduction to 3D printing to create digital awareness amongst our residents. It was well received across all ages. Residents who attended the session were excited and could see the potential for its commercial and recreational application. 3D printing is certainly an exciting and revolutionary technology, as the designs you can manufacture now are effectively limited only by your imagination. And as someone who is exposed to 3D printing at the workplace, I can assure you that whatever that you can think of, it is highly likely that the 3D printer can print it out for you. 3D printing is also relatively cheap compared to traditional manufacturing with lathes and milling machines. Printers are readily available under $1,000. For the more serious hobbyists, a sophisticated 3D printer can be purchased under $5,000 for all your DIY needs from online portals such as Lazada and Amazon. And you can even have it delivered at your doorstep within a week. These 3D printers can print many different kinds of materials, from plastics to carbon fiber reinforced thermoplastics, to even different metals from the more complex and sophisticated machines. In the industry, the use of 3D printing, or what is known as additive manufacturing, is becoming more prevalent. AM has revolutionized how we design and manufacture components where there is little or even zero waste, unlike traditional subtractive manufacturing. AM is forcing us to rethink supply chain and manufacturing strategies, because now anyone in any part of the world can manufacture a 3D component if he has the design and a 3D printer capable of doing it. In addition, there's also a lot of online resources available for free. GrabCAD, an open source forum for 3D models, has more than 4.5 million computer-aided design models, commonly known as CAD models. And a number of these designs are for guns or weapons as defined by the bills, which includes knuckle dusters, daggers, swords, and nunchakus. 3D printing brings exciting opportunities in manufacturing. However, there is an increasingly worrying global trend on the irresponsible use of 3D printing guns and offensive weapons. These designs are also increasingly downloaded. One of my residents even showed me the design of a gut buster, a knuckle duster integrated with a dagger and a revolver. This is indeed a worrying trend, given our objective of becoming a digitally connected nation. There is also a strong online community of advocates pushing for the digital design of guns to be made available to all for free, as an extension of the US Second Amendment on the freedom to bear arms. As an example, Cody Wilson, described as a crypto-anarchist, had designed and successfully tested his first 3D printed gun, which he named the Liberator. He proceeded to upload it online for others to access for free. When the US authorities got wind of it, they managed to shut the site down, but not before the gun design had been downloaded a total of 100,000 times. A quick Google search also shows many examples of organizations distributing blueprints for guns and weapons with the intent of arming civilians to protect themselves and rise up against authorities. To further complicate these worrying trends, 3D printed guns are unserialized and therefore untraceable. They can also be made using plastics, making them undetectable by metal detectors at security points, such as in our airports and other sensitive installations. All this leads to the simple fact that there are low barriers of entry for anyone who has the interest to 3D print a gun or weapon. Low printer costs, free downloadable software, and blueprints open the gates to proliferation of these 3D printed guns and other offensive weapons. Just some examples of the designs of guns that are available online: Flying Swallow revolver, Zigzag gun, AR-15, FGC-9. Some are revolvers and some are semi-automatic guns. Any person with very modest means and a broadband connection can effectively print his own gun in the comfort and privacy of their own homes. In fact, there are many YouTube videos that show just this. The situation becomes increasingly dangerous when we take into consideration the instances of self-radicalized individuals on our shores. Easy access to such technology seems like the perfect opportunity for a lone wolf operative aiming to commit acts of terrorism. It is therefore imperative that we pass this bill. We need to keep up with the advancements in 3D printing technology and deal with the low barriers to access blueprints, especially in this current global and societal context. Like it or not, 3D printing of guns and other weapons is here with us, and when it is misused, presents a clear and present danger to the safety and security of the general public. Given its importance, I would like to suggest the following considerations. In Clause 13, I support the unauthorized possession of digital blueprints for guns and major parts of a gun. In addition, I suggest that it should also consider gun modifications and attachments that can be used for malicious intent, such as silencers, scopes, etc. I also note that digital blueprints for offensive weapons, such as knuckle dusters and daggers, are not covered. As someone who is excited about the benefits of 3D printing, I do understand that we do not want to stifle creativity and innovation, and we also do not want to over-criminalize 3D printing. However, how do we keep to the spirit of the law and prevent such offensive weapons from being used in our country? One of our Pasir Ris residents came to see me to appeal against a fine he received, including the confiscation of the item from customs for buying a knuckle duster online from an overseas source. Of the hundreds of thousands of parcels crossing our borders, I am glad and I'm thankful that our customs have the capability to detect, intercept, and prevent such offensive weapons from crossing our borders. How do we continue with this intent in this new world where we are unable to rely solely on the control at our physical borders to prevent these offensive weapons to appear on our shores? How do we get people to practice responsible 3D printing without over-criminalizing it? As a deterrent and to ensure responsible 3D printing, I would like to propose that if 3D printed items are found to be used as weapons in Singapore, we should consider options to charge the person or company for supplying the weapons together with the individual that uses it. Since it is impractical to prevent people from having the blueprint of non-gun based weapons, at least this will force those that are responsible for 3D printing to think twice on the use of 3D printed items, especially if it is used to cause harm in our society. On enforcement, I would like to understand how MHA intends to enforce the unauthorized possession of the digital blueprints of guns. Can we explore the banning of websites that advocate gun blueprint sharing? How can MHA make non-intrusive checks on residents to ensure that they do not have gun designs stored on their hard drives? Do we have the right resource, skill set, and organizational capability in MHA to tackle this threat? I believe there is also a wider role to play in the community too. How do we co-opt the community to understand the urgency of this issue and the threat that it poses to public security and safety? Can we educate the public to be vigilant and be on the lookout? Is there a role family members should play, especially in our objective to identify early radicalized individuals who may turn out to be lone wolf operatives? Do we provide safe, anonymous, whistleblowing channels for the public or family members? How do we also ensure that the ease of access to 3D printer in schools and other agencies are not abused? It is great that many of our kids are exposed to 3D printers in school nowadays. However, anyone with computer-aided design skills, which is now taught in schools, is able to design a simple sharp-end knuckle duster and have it printed in hours. They don't even need to wait for weeks for shipment from overseas. Given the changing circumstances on making GEWs using 3D printers, I would like to propose a holistic approach of not only enforcement, but also education to instill responsible 3D printing practices to the users and institutions that acquire these devices. Another consideration is on the declaration and serialization of some highly sophisticated 3D printers. Some 5-axis CNC machine centers are classified under export control and are serialized and also have yearly declaration, as they are capable of manufacturing components for the centrifuge in building nuclear devices or ballistic missiles. I would like to propose that we extend the same need for serialization and yearly declaration to certain types of 3D printers. This would help to monitor its use and ensure it is not in the hands of individuals with ill intent, and forces the 3D printing contract manufacturers to be aware of the downstream usage of their manufactured product. Lastly, while we protect ourselves internally from the possession and manufacture of 3D printed guns, how do we protect our borders from the importation of 3D printed guns or weapons, especially those made from thermoplastics that can escape metal detection at our borders? The dangers of not detecting such guns and weapons cannot be underestimated. Mr. Speaker, sir, in Malay, please. Kemajuan dalam teknologi pencetakan 3D menampilkan kepada kita peluang baru yang mengujar dan mempunyai banyak potensi. Teknologi pencetakan 3D sedang mengubah dunia perkilangan dan memaksa kita untuk berfikir semula tentang strategi-strategi rantaian bekalan. Pencetakan 3D berupaya mereka apa sahaja produk untuk dihasilkan di mana sahaja di dunia. Penggunaan pencetakan 3D kini semakin berkembang. Ianya menambah dan kadang-kalanya menggantikan proses perkilangan tradisional seperti lathe dan milling machine. Oleh kerana itu, ia penting untuk masyarakat kita menerokai, memahami dan mempunyai kecekapan dalam bidang teknologi ini yang akan menjadi norma di dalam ekonomi baru ini. Pada bulan lalu, M Kuasa 3 Pasir Ris Punggol telah mengadakan kursus pencetakan 3D. Kursus ini diadakan untuk semua peringkat usia, tidak kira muda atau tua. Peserta kursus ini dapat mempelajari tentang pencetakan 3D dan mereka teruja dengan potensi teknologi ini. Walaupun pencetakan 3D membawa banyak kebaikan, namun kita juga perlu sedar tentang ancaman yang timbul daripada teknologi ini. Oleh kerana teknologi pencetakan 3D dan blueprint senjata mudah didapatkan online, ditambah pula dengan unsur-unsur negatif online yang mengacukan pengganasan. Ada individu-individu yang mulai menghasilkan senjata-senjata menggunakan pencetakan 3D di rumah sendiri. Oleh itu, kita perlu sentiasa berwaspada kepada mereka yang mungkin akan menggunakan untuk niat-niat yang berbahaya. Sebagai anggota masyarakat dan ahli keluarga yang prihatin, kita perlu kenali tanda-tanda para individu berkenaan dan menghubungi pihak berkuasa agar Singapura sentiasa selamat dan terjamin. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, our zero tolerance for guns and weapons possession has been instrumental in keeping Singapore safe and keeping gun and weapon crimes to as low as possible. However, our safety and security is now threatened by the unscrupulous use of the latest 3D printing technology. We need to move quick and catch up with the technological threat that 3D printing poses without over-criminalizing it and stifling 3D printing activities while continuing to maintain zero tolerance for gun or weapon possession in our country. Notwithstanding the considerations I've proposed, I stand in support of the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.